Good morning, afternoon, or evening. A time zone friendly welcome back to the ESL UK Premiership. We're here with our fourth week for our second best of three of the day, and it's going to be Team Infused up against Team XL. Now, our first best of three was Exertus versus the LoL, and while the first game looked incredibly close, Exertus were able to take the second in commanding fashion and walk away with a 2-0 victory for themselves. And now, as we head into our second game of the, or second series of the day, it's going to be Infused up against the LoL. Now, talk to me, Vedius. On paper, this is looking a little bit one-sided.
No, it's going to be an incredible... No, yeah, okay. On paper, it looks incredibly one-sided. Infused, as everybody knows, have been around for an incredibly long time. You might have seen a few of them on front of the League client recently, thanks to the fantastic promotional video that Riot made for us. I believe Riot made it for us. Or was it?
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, very kindly of them, and they.
Shout out to Riot Draggles.
Yeah. And yeah, coming into this game, I think they're feeling pretty confident. XL didn't have. I saw them playing last weekend in a couple of games, and they didn't have the most commanding performances. A few issues with their shot calling, but they do have Nesquik back. He has returned from his holidays, and he is looking to have an impact. As well as that, they are running. They now have multiple top laners. So now they have.
Just in case.
No. So what they have been doing is they've been swapping out their top laners during
I thought you
series.
meant in this game.
Oh no, no, they don't have more than one. There is just one top laner in this game.
With someone else.
But yeah, they kind of do an SK Telecom thing, you know, where they swap out in between games, depending on their strategies. So they are going to be having Aurori MCD in the top lane for this first best of three series. But yeah, as you said, on paper, this should look good for Infused, and I do expect a fairly dominant performance coming out from them.
But this is League of Legends. We've seen crazier things happen before. I know in the LCS we've had all sorts of underdog stories with reverse sweeps, Cinderella stories. Fingers crossed we'll see something similar here, and we'll see XL really show up for this one. We should be heading into Champion Select for this one in just a couple of seconds. What are the kind of picks and bans that you're anticipating for these two teams?
Well, I'm hoping we see a Fiora. We didn't see it at all in the last best of three series, but in this best of three, I know that both these teams significantly preferred the meta picks, so we should be seeing those. I expect an Azir ban. I can't imagine anyone ever giving Charlie T Azir. There's very likely to be a Victor ban. I know that both mid laners play a fair amount of Victor. We might see a few jungle bans, however I largely expect most of them to be left open. Kino combo will be back, or Infused Kino will be back in the jungle for Team Infused this week. And he does like a lot of Rek'Sai, he likes a lot of Gragas, incredibly strong jungler, but he does have quite a wide champion pool, so it'll be interesting to see. I don't think he plays very much Echo though, which I know Nesquik does. Nesquik does play a lot of Echo jungle, so meanwhile in the bottom lanes, I believe that both bottom lanes can pretty much play everything under the sun, so as much as I'd like to predict what they're going to play, I honestly couldn't tell you what they're going to play. What we can go into a bit more about is Alfari, and he is a very carry-centric top laner. He likes his Gangplank, he likes his Fizz, he likes those top laners that can have a huge impact on the map and by simply dominating their lane in the early game. So I expect pretty much all of the bans to be centered around Alfari in this first game anyway.
We'll have to see. And I mean, again, this is similar to our first best of three. We have kind of a fresh face in the UK Premiership in that Rory MCD, who's going to be in the top lane for XL, like we had the new jungler for Exertus last time, or for the LoL, sorry, Shaved Tortoise. We're going to have that same kind of effect. Maybe Infused don't necessarily know what Rory MCD likes to play. Maybe they don't know his style, and maybe that could be the spanner in the works for Infused. But we are going to be heading on into Champion Select for our second best of three of the day. Team Infused starting out on the blue side of the map, and they're going to be up against XL Esports on the red side of the map. And the first ban of the game is already going to be Kalista.
Yeah, so they decided that they want to get Jokerism off that champion. It has been very heavily favored over in Korea. They really do like that champion over there, and I guess they've decided to take it away. Mordekaiser is something that Jokerism has been playing a huge amount of, so they're definitely going to take that away. Meanwhile, we can see the Gangplank and Fiorband, so those carry champions that Alfaro likes to play, are going to be taken away from him. So I wonder whether or not they're actually going to ban Fizz as a final ban to stop him from getting on really any of those heavy hard carry top laners. Final ban coming out for Infused is going to be that Lulu. Ped does play a huge amount of Lulu, one of his go-to champions. And Irelia going to be the final ban, so a little bit surprising. That means that Fizz is available.
Yeah, I mean, the Irelia, to an extent, it is one of those carry top laners. Obviously, as you say, though, does leave that Fizz open. It's something we've seen him play in the past. Wouldn't be all too surprised to see that locked in, but I feel like Fizz isn't kind of first pick material right now with what else is on the board. What kind of stuff do you expect to see the first pick being?
Well, Elise is still available. As we said, Kino does have quite a wide champ pool, but he is going to go for that Rek'Sai, something that he is very comfortable on, something that he really does like. And I think Kino doesn't rate... well, I think from his opinion, it's that Elise is strong, but his ability to play Rek'Sai is greater than the strength of Elise. So... meanwhile, on the side of XL, they've realized that the jungle has been locked in, so they're going to quickly take away the Tristana Brom. Very quick lock-ins. Kind of suggests that they've got a plan coming into this first game and they are sticking to it. Yeah,
and as well, very, very strong champions in that bottom lane currently. Obviously, the Tristana. We've seen that in the last 2 games, absolutely dominating. Incredibly hard to lane against, incredibly good in the mid and late game. Well, it sort of drops off in the mid, but then incredibly good towards the end of the game. And then as well, Braum, something we didn't actually see in the last series. I'm not 100% sure why, because currently, Braum is a fantastic support.
Yeah, he is a very reactive support, though. He's not traditionally like a lane-dominant support, simply because he doesn't have a very reliable hard engage tool. His kit is much better at reacting. You know, he's very good at disengaging from fights, or if somebody else chooses to engage, he's very good at counter-engaging. So in terms of his actual laning strength, he's not incredibly on top of the list, which is why generally I see him picked sort of as a reaction to things like Alistar or Nautilus. But he is definitely, you could, depending on your strategy going in, go for that early pickup. And against a severe Thresh lane, you know, it's not that bad at all.
No, and as well, one of the big things, Braum versus Sivir specifically, you can block that wave clear. You can use that Unbreakable, deny the Boomerang Blade. I was going to call it Ricochet Blade, which is kind of a combination, but you can deny that just being shoved under the tower, which is what Sivir loves to do.
Yeah, she definitely does. But we have to remember that pretty much every single player on the side of Infused is Challenger tier, so in terms of, like, just on paper, looking at the matchup, regardless of what champions they're playing, you could argue that Infused are just mechanically stronger. So regardless of the matchup, they may very well have a slight edge coming into the lanes from the get-go. But we can also see the Skarner locked in for the side of XL. Now, Skarner's had a huge number of changes to him, in particular the crystal spires that you now get dotted all over the map that give Skarner a nice little, you know, various buffs depending on when he's standing on them. So he definitely considered strong champion. On patch 5.17 he has had a few nerfs, but definitely still regarded as a top tier jungler, and with a Shen supporting him, definitely someone to keep an eye out on.
Yeah, and as well, one of the things about Skarner is he's so fast, especially when he gets that buff. When he uses his W, that crystalline armor, he just sprints at you. If you're playing the AD carry against that Skarner, it is terrifying because you have to use just about everything to get yourself away from him. And even then, he's still just going to ult you and pull you into his team. So definitely one to watch out for. Nesquik going to be bringing that one into the jungle. We'll see how well he's going to be able to do with that pickup. Now, I mean, Skarner, as you say, did get a bit nerfed. I know we've seen a little bit less of it, especially in solo queue. We've seen a bit less of it in competitive play as well. So whether it's going to be as effective as we've seen in the past, it's a little bit up in the air, but it's going to be against that Rek'Sai. Who do you feel has more of an advantage in that matchup?
Well, in the early game, I believe the Rek'Sai definitely has the advantage, but Rek'Sai scales, Skarner scales so phenomenally well, and if anybody was watching EDG play for their spot at Worlds, they actually brought out Skarner in their final game of the best of 5 series, and it was so impressive with the Righteous Glory stacked on top. It was just, it's such a terrifying thing to deal with, especially around these Dragon and Baron fights where you pretty much have a crystal sitting in the middle of the river. The stats that you get from it are just so incredible. So
I mean, you can see XL's strategy as well. Like, imagine if the Lulu hadn't been banned, the movement speed you would get on that Skarner. He'd just be like zooming across the map, charging at you. But sorry, I interrupted you there.
No,
I just thought that was hilarious.
But what I really like about XL's composition is how well-rounded it is. You have the split push pressure coming out from Rory MCD on this Shen. You also have a very reliable engage in the form of Shen'el on top of the Rek'Sai with the Righteous Core. We've already talked about how quick he is. He is a fairly reliable engage. And then you've also got a nice follow-up coming out from the Braum with very strong damage coming out from the Tristana and the Victor. And they've also got a very well-rounded composition because, you know, their early game isn't phenomenal, but Infused I've never really considered to be an incredibly early game team, and they haven't picked especially early game champions. So getting that early game lead will completely rely on the amount of pressure that Kino can apply from the jungle. But if he can't get that much pressure down, then coming into the mid game, XL I would argue have somewhat of a stronger composition. But one thing we haven't touched on is the fact that Alphari is on Yasuo, and against the Shen he's going to have a pretty free lane in terms of his farming. So we know how good he is at these carry champions, and in terms of a split push threat, Yasuo is a pretty big one.
He certainly is. And interestingly as well, we're going to see Orianna for a 3rd game in a row now. Very just standard. It's pretty much like the definition of a mage, Orianna. You've got a lot of potential in team fights. You've got long range damage. You've got zoning potential. But it's just very safe. It's not the kind of champion that you're going to be able to dominate lane with. And going to be up against that Victor, pretty much just going to be a farm lane, I would expect. Just Victor pretty much can clear a wave in 1E at this stage just because of the 2nd level of Hex Core. You can upgrade that laser. So again, the mid lane would expect just to pretty much be a farm fest. Which of these lanes is the one to watch out for you?
It's a difficult one because I feel as though the actual things we need to look out for are the amount of jungle pressure that's going to be applied because...
Jungle's a lane.
Yeah, jungle, I suppose. But you don't want to get Alphari ahead even slightly. If anything, you want to shut him down. You want to leave the bottom lane alone. Like, they might even look for a lane swap. That is definitely a possibility for them with Tristana. They're sieging. You know, we've talked about how good Tristana is at sieging, so they would very quickly take away these towers with a Tristana on top. And the wave clear that she provides means that she'll quickly shred through the lanes and take that out incredibly quickly. So I wouldn't be surprised to see a lane swap come out to try and deny Alphari as much as possible.
Importantly as well is Shen has absolutely no issues in a lane swap. He can soak the damage comfortably, he can farm with his Q. Yasuo on the other hand, not so much. Very squishy champion, very hard, especially against an AD carry, to get anywhere near that farm.
Well, you say that, but we did actually see in the NALCS finals, CLG ran Yasuo in the top lane in their 1st game, and he was lane swapped on, and thanks to the wind wall mechanic, when you have a large minion wave pushing onto your tower, you can actually put the wind wall in front of the minion wave, meaning you can quite easily farm as much as possible while that wind wall is up without taking any damage. So that is definitely an option available, but it really depends on how familiar Alphari is with being lane swapped into on that champion. But he is, I believe, he's something like rank 10 on EU West right now. And bear in mind, Alphari turns 16 in October. So he's only 15 years old, and he is ranked, you know, in the top 10 on EU West Challenger. So he is already a phenomenal player, and the longer, you know, the more time he invests into the game.
Maybe in a year.
I reckon, like, he could be the European Faker. Who knows?
Maybe. We'll have to see. But we are on to Summoner's Rift, ladies and gentlemen. We are going to be seeing Team Infused up against XL Esports, and this should be one heck of a matchup. Infused, obviously, on paper, pretty heavy favourites here. But XL are certainly going to be looking to change all of that as we head into this game. And honestly, generally speaking, we don't tend to see any kind of level 1 action in the UK, or even in competitive play, level 1 action just isn't something that tends to be seen anymore. With a Braum on side, do you think maybe we could have seen anything?
Well, there's always a possibility, but these days not very much is gained from getting an early level 1. The only time you'd really advance for that level 1 is to get a deep vision in to try and predict the lane swap. I mean, I felt as though a lane swap would come out, like just based on individual talent. I feel as though Alphari kind of significantly outweighs that of Rory. You know, just based on the stats on paper. So I feel as though they should get those lanes away from each other and do whatever they can to try and shut Alphari down. But, you know, based on their current positioning, it does look like that they're not actually going to go for the lane swap, and they're just going to play fairly standard lanes. So it does, however, look as though Infused are prepared for it. They are going to go for the double jungle just in case that lane swap does come out.
Yeah, we'll have to see if they do go for that one. Looks like they will. And obviously, very, very safe way to start the game. It just means that this top laner can soak up some of that damage early on in the game and just give your jungle a bit of a easier first clear, and also lets you assess the situation in terms of lane swaps, in terms of where the map is. You're going to be able to get yourselves to where you need to be and play it reactively. But we are going to see, oh, immediately, XL back away from this one. They saw Infused heading over towards that one. In fact, there wasn't even a ward. I'm not sure.
Oh, there was a ward in the river. They did spot out that they were heading up. So they are going to get to lane a little bit sooner and start that early show.
Yeah, so no actual invade ends up coming out. Nice map awareness there from XL to see that that one's coming in. And they're going to be able to just head on into lane, 5 CS apiece. Very standard start from both of these teams right now.
Yeah, pretty standard indeed. Jokerism going for a little bit of harass, but you know, this lane could be very volatile coming into the level 2 point. You can already see both top laners doing the double jungle, going to return to lane fairly sheepishly. And interesting that Rory's actually decided to go for the cloth armor. I do quite like that, but in terms of his training potential, he is going to lose out a little bit. Doran shields may very well have worked out for him, but I do also understand that cloth armor. So meanwhile, in the mid lane, we can see, you know, your standard slap fest. Both mid laners just doing what they can to get as much farm as possible, and both junglers going for a full clear. You know, so pretty standard starts all across the map.
Yeah, nothing too huge going on. Pollock actually repping that pack Sivir skin, very, very rare one. So very expensive one as well, actually. I think that's
a friend of mine actually, I believe, got it off. Well, no, I think he won it, I believe. So, yeah,
really?
It's a very pretty skin.
It is indeed. And we are going to see a bomb coming down, but more importantly, we're going to see Nesquik starting to head towards this bottom lane. Very long route to get into this lane, but it might just pay off for them as Pollock already having to flash away from this one. Arfan as well flashes, but with those 2 flashes, they're going to be able to get away on full HP.
Yeah, Kino does use that opportunity to get himself some deep vision down, but there's going to be no camps for him to steal away. So I do like that coming out from Nesquik, applying this early pressure. But meanwhile, we can see already in the top lane a bit of a discrepancy coming out between the 2 laners. Oh, Kino.
Pen in all kinds of trouble. There's going to be the ignite. There's the flash from Kino, and first blood comes across to Charlie T. Well played by Infused there. Yeah,
that is one thing about Rek'Sai. They do love to come from the Raptor camp, flank from behind, and it is incredibly annoying as a mid laner to have to deal with. And the fact that Charlie T has gone ignite against the exhausted head meant that he had a huge amount of damage coming out, and they were able to pick up first blood. So nice first blood coming out for Infused.
Yeah, so well played by them to grab that first blood. Let's see if they're going to be able to snowball that into anything. I mean, we were talking earlier, Orianna, not the most aggressive champion. X-Spike getting caught by a death sentence there, but not all that much follow-up. When you're playing that Sivir, you can't really go too ham on those death sentences.
No, she does still have a fair amount of damage. I mean, the damage of any AD carry can't really be underestimated. And if a boomerang blade does in fact land on you, you will take a fair chunk of damage. But no, in terms of their straight-up 2v2, it is unlikely that Sivir would win. It highly depends on whether or not she would successfully be able to spell shield the bomb. So hook does land, though.
Yeah, Joker isn't getting caught up by that one. But again, they decide not to go too aggressive on this one. But we're starting to see Pollock he's trying to sort of zone away from this CS, but there's a large wave, and by the looks of things, Jokerism should be able to even out those numbers yet again, but Nesquik has joined the bottom lane once again. The double stun is going to come out. Arfan is going to go down, and Jokerism picks up his first kill of the game.
Yeah, nice gank there from XL. Really well positioned to catch Arfan completely out of position and gain themselves a small advantage in the bottom lane. They already knew that the flash was down for Infused bot lane. He doesn't decide to waste his exhaust, and I feel that was a good decision. So well played there by the side of XL.
Uh-oh, we could see Ped in trouble. They're going to go for the exact same gank they just did a couple of minutes ago, and Ped going to be knocked up once again. There's the damage coming out, and Charlie T grabs himself yet another kill on that Orianna.
Oh, in the bottom lane.
In the bottom lane, indeed, Pollock in all kinds of trouble. He's going to get caught up by that explosion. Did manage to shield the Braum stun, but it's going to be enough. Jokerism manages to jump away. I thought he was in trouble himself there. We are going to see a short pause coming through here. And, I mean, so far, we were expecting this to be kind of a whitewash for Infused, but actually XL doing an incredibly good job in this early game.
Yeah, so I really like this this aggression coming out from XL's bot lane. They realize that that is one of the stronger lanes of XL, and they are doing their best to apply a lot of pressure. So being able to pick up those nice early kills onto Jokerism is going to do him a lot of favors. Now being 1-0-1 with a nice CS advantage should actually get him a very early pickaxe, which means that that amount of pressure coming out from the bot lane is going to increase pretty substantially. Meanwhile, in the middle lane, Ped is having a very rough time. Recently, Kino did actually sub in for XL, so it does look like that he's decided that he doesn't like Ped after
giving them a
in.
bit of scouting.
And he's just applying pressure. Unfortunately for Ped, there isn't really much Ped can do about it. The best he can do is consistently ward that part, but then if he keeps that part warded, the rest of the lane is going to be unavailable for him to ward. So he's going to have a chat with Nesquik and say, "Yo, mate, can you ward the jungle, please, bruv?"
Yeah, fingers crossed that will be the case. Taking a look at the gold so far, Jokerism can actually afford a BF sword if he chooses to go for that on his first back. So he is going to be feeling very, very comfortable heading into the rest of this laning phase. That Tristana, I mean, we've been talking about how hard that champion can snowball, how much damage you can do if you manage to get ahead. And so far, Jokerism has been able to get ahead. We are back onto the Rift, though. The pause has ended. And we're going to see Jokerism heading back to base now, going to be looking to spend that gold that he's managed to accumulate. And Charlie T just going to push this mid lane underneath the tower, try and capitalize on the fact that Ped did end up going down.
Yeah, so nice pickup there for Jokerism. Meanwhile, we can already see this top lane CS discrepancy is absolutely huge, and this is something that I highlighted at the start of the game. He is doing his best, but Nesquik might be in trouble.
Uh-oh, a little bit out of position there, but not going to be able to go for that one. He was very close to the tower, and I mean, really, in a 2v2, you don't want to dive Skarner and Shen. That is a lot of CC to be going up against.
Yeah, Kino doing a fantastic job of consistently getting deep vision down into the top half of this map and basically having full control over it. I really like this aggression coming out from Kino, being able to pretty much control Nesquik if he wants to apply any pressure in the top half of the jungle.
Yeah, doing a really, really good job of just the split second he sees Skarner anywhere on the map, just going to punish him, essentially, for whatever moves he does. And Ped, as you say, could well be in trouble. Kino is waiting around. He's actually decided just to go for this red buff instead. Going to be more than happy taking that one away. Nesquik was spotted out by the... Oh, actually, no, that's his own wisp. So it wasn't spotted out at all. Just Kino's feeling incredibly confident.
Yeah, but he does have full vision control, so he can see all of the entrances for that top half of the map. And now that he's taken that red buff, it's very likely that he's just going to head straight back to mid.
Yeah, wouldn't be surprised at all. Ped still not quite got that flash available, and the gank is going to be coming on through. This time Charlie T will have the shockwave. It's going to land. There's the knock-up. The ignite is going down, And there's another kill for Charlie T. This is just textbook mid lane ganking right now.
Yeah, it's just that one of the biggest strengths of Rek'Sai, and the fact that he's managed to get away with the same gank 3 times in a row really makes you realize like how you know, non-reactive XL are. Like, there should be wards coming in that half of the jungle. Obviously, he can just smite away the Raptor Bus and clear the vision, and at the moment, Ped's just having a really tough time, so this could be, well, one of the reasons why you just can't afford to give Kino that Rek'Sai.
Yeah, absolutely, and I mean, oh, Pollock in a bit of trouble here. That's going to be the Glacial Fissure knocking him up. The spell shield's already on cooldown as Nesquik enters the lane. Arfan going to be stunned up by Roman. That's going to be the stinger used by Nesquik. Exabyte narrowly escaping that one with his life, but it is going to be another kill for XL, and they even up the scoreboard.
So a lot of pressure might be coming towards the mid lane for XL. However, they are returning in favor by shutting down the bot lane of Infused, and they are doing a fantastic job of that right now. I mean, both the Summoner Flash was used from Pollock in that trade, and they should be able to get a lot of damage down onto this tower, and Pollock needs to be really careful, because if he stays a little bit too long, Nesquik might just come around for another cheeky gank, and it does actually look like they're going to pick themselves up the first tower of the game. Yeah,
they certainly should. Hoylk not having a good time of it so far. 0-1 on that server. 10 CS down as well. We'll see if that continues to be the case, or whether he can pull himself back into this game. I know mid-game for Sivir is a sort of a peak for that champion, and the opposite can be said for Tristana. So we'll see if that is something that they can abuse and get Hoylk back into this game. Now Charlie T just going to pink up that river. The dragon is live. Nobody has taken the first one just yet, so maybe that is an objective that these teams might just look towards now.
But look at this, right? The thing about Alfari is he can play as aggressively as he wants, simply because of the amount of vision control that Kino has over the top half of the jungle. Constantly invading, constantly getting deep wards down, and literally doing whatever he can to apply pressure onto the mid lane. It means that he knows he has a almost free lane in the top, which means he can play so aggressive. But talking about aggression...
Yeah, Arfan in a bit of trouble. The death sentence comes out, but there's just not a whole lot comes out of that one. The spell shield was used on the jump there, but Nesquik was waiting along the sidelines but didn't see the opportunity to come on in, and they decide that's not a gank that they're going to go for right now.
Yeah, but you can really see how dominant the bottom lane of XL are feeling right now. I mean, a healthy CS lead is building up in this bottom lane. Jokerism currently sitting on 1,500 gold. I mean, he's already managed to build up a 1,000 gold lead against his counterpart. Meanwhile, a 1,400 gold lead build up for Charlie T.
Yeah, absolutely. And actually, Rory MC trading fairly well, but Alfari going to use that last breath just to get some damage down in this lane and force Rory MC underneath his tower. Kino is on the sidelines, though. There's going to be the knock-up onto Rory MC. They're looking for this dive. Kino going to be tanking that tower. He's going to go down. Alfari should be able to pick this one. Nice aggro juggling there. Kino comfortably tanking that one for a while as we see another pause come through. Unfortunately, we'll be able to get that sorted in just a couple of minutes, but so far, Infused, 1,000 gold ahead of their opponents. We have been anticipating Infused being ahead in this game. However, XL are doing a fantastic job to stay not quite even, but not too far behind either.
But their whole goal lead is basically stemming from the amount of pressure that Kino's applying. This is exactly what I talked about in the champ select. Like, the lane to look out for is how much pressure can be applied from Kino. Their composition is not early game orientated, whereas Rek'Sai is. And having that champion being able to apply as much pressure as Kino is means that their late game, sort of mid to late game composition can reach peak a lot earlier. You know, simply by shutting down the composition of XL. And right now, the only person they're really shutting down is Ped. And I mean, Victor is obviously a good champion to shut down, but more so than that, it's simply just giving Alfari such a free lane. It's allowing him to literally do whatever he wants, and I figured that that would be the lane that they would apply the most pressure on, but it has been this bottom lane. And right now, like, even though Infused bot lane are struggling, they still have 2 lanes winning for Infused and only 1 for XL. So overall, that is a trade that they're willing to take, and we are going to jump straight back into the game.
We certainly are back onto Summoner's Rift. And I mean, as you say, Infused doing a good job to take this lead, but XL doing a good job to obviously stay relevant in this game. And it is going to be XL kicking off with the first dragon of the game. Absolutely no answer coming out here from Infused. Obviously, with the top laner going down, with Kino heading up towards the top lane to grab that kill, they're going to have that positional advantage on the Dragon. They are going to trade that tier 1 top lane tower for it as well. I'll be interested to see what they do with Alfari here, whether they keep him in the top lane or whether they send him elsewhere on the map now.
I imagine what they're going to do is swap the lanes round, so now they will keep Shen in the bottom lane to get as much farm as he can, and they're going to swap the bottom lane of XL up into the top to start sieging on this tier 1 tower. And these two together should be able to deal with Alfari, but he is level 10. So that is something that they need to keep a close eye on because he is incredibly strong right now.
Yeah, and I mean, that speaks volumes because Charlie T is level 10 as well. Ped is only level 8 at this stage. He has fallen so far behind. Finally just hits level 9 now, but he is really, really struggling in this matchup. And I mean, as you said before, this is kind of the story of Kino, just doing so much around the map, just having so much pressure. He's 10 CS up, 3 assists up. Obviously, Nesquik did manage to get that kill for himself, but if we take a look at the gold, 700 gold in favor of Kino over Nesquik right now. And I mean, you can see, considering he hasn't got a single kill, that is a massive deal.
Yeah, it's all thanks to that support streak that you can get now. So every time you pick up a support, you start picking up basically a consistent 100 gold. And, you know, you can see that coming to fruition. He also has a healthy CS lead, picking up some lane from here to there. And interesting decision coming out from Infused. They decided to actually swap the lanes back. So they're going to keep the 2v2 simply because they know how strong Alfari is in this 1v1. They want to give him as much free farm as possible. And they want to keep getting him stronger and stronger because, you know, he does like to carry and he's definitely on the champion to do so. So by keeping them in this 1v1, he's just going to keep getting stronger and stronger.
Yeah, at the same time as well, though, obviously there is a Tristana on Jokerism. If they can send Nesquik up there, which they are doing, maybe they can force out a second tower of the game for themselves. They've already got that bottom lane tier 1 tower. We'll see if they can get the top lane one as well. Look how aggressive Alfari is being down here, though. He is not even remotely scared.
Yeah, but he can afford to be simply because Kino's backing him up so well. Like this time, Rory isn't falling for the trap of getting dived by that 3-man gank. And he's backing off very smartly. And the problem is they just don't have vision. Wherever Kino is, he just maintains superior vision control all the time. And this is basically just a massive problem for XL.
Certainly is, and the Shockwave going to go down in the mid lane. Ped almost getting soloed out. The Prey Seeker might just be enough to finish him off. There's the flash from Kino, and it is actually the Ignite that took him down in the end. The kill again coming across to Charlie T, who is now 4-0-0.
Cool. As a mid laner, I would absolutely hate the amount of pressure that's coming in right now. And the problem is, like, while Nesquik could kind of respond, he's just not really ever in a good situation to apply anything onto Charlie T. And as a result, like, the mid lane tower is going to go down, and this is going to extend Infused gold lead even further.
Yeah, absolutely. And this game so far for me has been kind of what can happen if one jungler focuses on the bottom lane and the other focuses on the mid lane. And unfortunately for XL, the mid lane pressure has just been so much more effective for Team Infused right now. Ped falling incredibly far behind, and 40 CS lead as well as 4 kills in favor of Charlie T, whereas down in the bottom lane, Joker is in with a 20 CS lead and just 1 kill and 2 assists up on his opponent. Yeah,
it's just things are not looking good for the mid laner of XL. And right now, it'll be interesting to see where they put Alfari, because, you know, he's been able to pick up the tier 1 tower in the bottom lane, but he can't afford to overextend right now. So by putting him in one of these side lanes, he could be in a bit of trouble, but the hook's going out.
Yeah, it doesn't quite land, though. I don't think they've seen Alfari just yet, though, or maybe they just did, as Jokerism gonna bail on out of there. Charlie T heading up, looking for a Shockwave onto them, and he might just be able to find it. Glacial Fissure doesn't land onto anyone. There's too much Shockwave, and the last breath comes through as well. Nesquik gonna go down, and now it's Jokerism in all kinds of trouble. That's a double kill coming through for Charlie T. And now Ped arrives to the fight, but he's just gonna go down and give Charlie T 3 more kills. 7-0-1 on that Oriana. Charlie T is taking XL for a walk right now.
Yeah, fantastic rotation coming out from Charlie T to get the flank off onto XL Esports. You can see that Exabyte did what he could to try and deny the engage from Charlie T, but Nesquik goes for that impale, but what a fantastic Shockwave to lock up to, and followed up by the last breath from Alfari meant that he got knock up onto 2, and at this point it's just cleanup. Jokerism at the back doesn't get enough peel. 3 members are focusing him down. He can't really do a thing, and once pretty much all the members are out for XL, Ped's pretty much just left on his own to get killed. So triple kill now picked up for Charlie T, sitting at 7-0, and that's going to be the tier 2 tower going out for Infused.
Yeah, so, I mean, Charlie T right now is looking terrifying. Already has the Chalice, has a needlessly large rod on top of that as well. I mean, I want to take a look at the gold right now. He is, oh my goodness, he is like 3,000 and a bit gold ahead of the enemy mid laner. That is an insane lead. That's usually the kind of lead that we're seeing for the entire team at 17 minutes.
He almost has double the amount of gold as Ped, and you know, having a death cap completed at 17 minutes is pretty ridiculous for an Orianna. I mean, that is when she hits her largest power spike, and right now XL, things are not looking good, and I feel the thing is, I think we need to make a note of, this is not XL playing necessarily badly, this is just Infused playing incredibly well. The amount of pressure that Kino has applied in this early game has been on point, because not only has he shut down the mid, he's been able to shut down the top, so really well played. And it looks like they're going to go.
Yeah, Nesquik manages to get the smite, so XL get the dragon, but he's going to pay for it with his life. There's a shockwave onto 2, Pet's going to go down, Exabyte will follow shortly, and in the meantime, Rory MC goes down up towards the top side of that fight. That's going to be a 4-0 for Infused. XL managed to get the dragon, but honestly, I don't think 5 dragons is going to be on the cards at this rate.
Yeah, that is... they tried their best to go for a fight, but another fantastic shockwave coming out from Orianna. Locked up 2, and I don't believe... Oh, Yasuo did end up using his ultimate in that fight. I didn't quite catch where he used it, but nevertheless, they were still able to pick up a 4-for-1 in that trade, and they didn't actually get the dragon. XL were able to pick up that trade, so at least they had that going for them.
Yeah, and I mean, one of the massive things about that fight as well was Orianna had literally just picked up a death cap. That is a massive damage spike. And then just, I mean, you saw her obliterate Ped with that shockwave. I think it landed onto Exabyte as well. Just both of the health bars just depleted by that RW combo from the Orianna. And when you're taking that much damage, it's just so hard to be able to do anything about it. Exabyte just narrowly dodging that death sentence there. I thought that was going to be another fight kicking off, but XL going to be able to back away from this one.
Yeah, and things right now looking very good for Infused, but this is what we were expecting. They are arguably one of, if not the current strongest team in the UK, with a very strong lineup available to them. And, you know, this is the sort of thing that we were expecting. And, you know, in the early game, XL were looking okay. Their bot lane were looking incredibly strong. And right now you can see that Jokerism still has a bit of a lead on his counterpart. But at this point, that bot lane might very well be in a lot of trouble.
Yeah, or top lane, as it were, right now, as Kino heads up towards them. Gets the Pracy Croft, and Infused are going to be more than happy with that 100 damage onto Jokerism.
Yeah, that...
exactly what they were looking for, I'm sure.
The Lady Landshark is going to be able to force them away from that tier 1 tower. And at the moment we can see Nesquik hanging around the bottom half of the map, and I don't think this is where he needs to be. He needs to be doing his best to get vision around his top half of the jungle, see where Infused are moving around, see what he can do to prevent any of them getting picks. And I think at this point, all XL are really trying to do is, you know, farm till late game. I guess that's really the best they can hope for. They do have an incredibly strong late game if they can ever achieve it, but at the same time, when you've got a Yasuo this strong, when you've got an Orianna this strong, can they really last until the 50-minute mark?
I don't know. Nesquik is looking to get onto Charlie T. There's going to be the knock-up onto him, and actually he's in a lot of trouble. He gets shut down. This is fantastic for XL, and now they move in towards Kino. Arfan going to be on the front line, having to flash away from this one. And they actually a teleport coming out from Rory MC. This might have been a little bit aggressive, buddy. He's getting incredibly low, but he's going to be able to survive. And now Kino, he's almost stunned up. 2 more autos will do it, but they can't quite connect it. A beautiful wind wall stops that Winter's Bite. And XL can't quite finish them off, and now the re-engage going to come out. Poyle has entered the fight. Nesquik is so tanky though, and Kino is incredibly low. He's going to go down as Ped drops as well. Jokerism jumping to the back of the fight, and XL might just be able to take this one, but Poyle is still full HP. He's going to clean house, but at this rate, he does get stunned up, but the boomerang blade lands across the wall. There's the triple kill for Poyle, and that is a beautiful fight for Team Infused.
Yeah, I mean, XL did what they could to try and get something or more out of that fight. They do chase a little bit too hard, gives plenty of time for Pollock to join the team fight and start doing damage. They do a pretty good job, but nobody, as you said, is focusing Pollock, which means that they just cannot come out ahead in that fight. Things were looking incredibly good, but yeah, still Infused come out a little bit ahead in that fight by getting that triple kill onto the AD carry. So at the moment, still a 12,000 gold lead in favor of Pollock, but XL doing what they can to try and close the gold gap as much as possible. They
certainly are. And Dragon gonna be up in 1 minute and 40 seconds, and Infused are gonna be more than ready for that objective. I mean, even if that's even an objective that's on the cards for them right now, I guess the 6% damage would be nice, but it's not exactly necessary for them. They have more than enough damage heading into these fights. And check out the farm as well on Charlie T, on that Orianna. 10 CS per minute so far this game, doing a very, very good job to keep those numbers high. And he's going to be able to take away the XL blue buff as just a cherry on the cake right now.
Yeah. That is a story of today, really. I wonder how many blue buffs have actually been stolen away, because Exertus did a fantastic job of controlling that blue buff, and again, Infused are doing exactly the same thing. So I do feel sad for blue buffs these days always being stolen from their true masters. But nevertheless, it does look like Infused are going to be looking to get this bottom tower for free. And XL have 3 members sitting in the top half. I'm not really sure what they're hoping to achieve from this, but they are going to give away a free tower.
Now, I wasn't sure if they were going to try and force a risky Baron or something there, but obviously deciding not to go for anything in the end, and just going to end up, as you say, lose that tower. 0 strings attached for Infused right now. And there are, I believe, no tier 2 towers remaining on the map now for XL. Infused have complete control of the XL jungle, and Baron could well be on the cards for them.
In fairness to Infused, I feel as though they've had pretty much control over XL's jungle for most of the game. Ever since the early levels, Kino has been going in, taking jungle camps, taking the red buff, and getting deep vision down pretty much consistently throughout the game. You can see how deep their vision line already is, heavily in the favor of the bottom half of the jungle, ready to set up for this next Drake. So XL are posturing around it, looking to try and set something up. I wonder whether or not they'll be able to take it.
We'll have to see, and it looks like XL have found Alfari, but honestly, Fed Yasuo's 1v5s are their specialities, so maybe not the best target. If they'd managed to get the stun down, they could have potentially got him, but the rest of the team has arrived, and XL are immediately going to sprint away with their tails between their legs. This is not a team fight they want, and that is finally a dragon on the board for Infused.
Yeah, I feel as though this was actually the best decision for them, considering that the Void Staff and Death Gap are now completed for Charlie T, whereas Ped hasn't even completed his second item yet, so definitely a smart decision from XL to avoid fighting that. And they really just need to give the game as much time as possible to ramp up, get these major items. But Infused are saying, no, we're going to start the Baron.
They certainly are. It's already below half HP. Arfan can't quite land that hook, though, as Alfari gets caught up by that Skarner Stinger. That's going to be Yasuo going down. Charlie T with a nice shockwave, but he's on the front line, has to flash away to the back. But Infused are starting to trade the damage back across. Can Jokerism do what he needs to and carry this team fight? Poyle jumping so aggressively, and he gets the kill. There's no damage coming out from Ped to capitalize on his positioning. And that, despite a really nice start to the fight for XL, they just don't seem to have the damage to take these battles.
Yeah, they did manage to pick up a kill onto Alfari, which is one of the characters you want to bring down, but they still have a 10-1 Charlie T that they have to deal with, and if they can't shut him down, then there's no way they're going to be able to win these fights. Unfortunately, there's just too much gold, too many strong items on the side of Infused for XL to deal with, and while at this point they might be looking at somewhat favorable fights, they just cannot win them purely because of how far behind they are, and this is a bit of a shame for XL because they are putting up a pretty strong performance at these mid-game stages of the game, but because of, as I said, this massive goal discrepancy, there's just nothing that they can do about it.
Yeah, nothing at all. And I mean, that's pretty much been the story of this game so far. It's just been kind of Infused controlling the map entirely. 15,000 gold lead in their favor right now. Is Kino going to deny that shrine from Nesquik? He's going to have to wait a little while until he can get that little bit of a buff back. I say a little bit of a buff, big bit of a buff back on their side, but I wouldn't expect a massive fight to be about to kick off as Alfari down in that bottom side of the map. He's just looking to split push and get pressure across the entire map. The Baron buff obviously in favor of Infused, still on a couple of members. You're going to be able to pressure on towards this top lane while Alfari is dragging everybody to this bottom side of the map.
Yeah, and I'm not sure if they have enough wave clear. Death Sentence lands on the head.
Does indeed, and he's going to flash immediately from that one just to try and stay alive. The tower getting incredibly low. Alfari going to teleport on in as Poyo actually is going to go down. This is fantastic for XL. Can they get Charlie T though? That's the question. The damage coming out from Ped. He's finally starting to do some as Jokerism arrives on the scene, getting what autos down that he can. Death Sentence goes wide, but there's a triple shockwave, picking up an instant triple kill. Charlie T looking for the quadra. Rory MC has to flash away from that one. That was insane.
Yeah, they all just grouped up there for Charlie T to be able to pick up that easy triple kill. And did you see how much damage Arfan's ultimate actually did? The fact that he's level 13, oh, Death Sentence does land.
Yeah, Rory MC, he's going to be going down. There's another kill for Charlie T. 14-1-4, make that 15-1-4. Charlie T's Orianna, I'd be amazed if this isn't even banned next game, although to be fair, I feel Kino definitely deserves kind of an MVP for this one, as it is 24-9 on the final scoreboard, and Infused take this one 1-0 so far.
Yeah, what an incredibly strong performance coming out from Infused. That is what you expect from them. And just to have a replay of that fight, you can see Polk getting a little bit too close to the tower, gets flashed, ulted by Nesquik, and immediately brought down. And things are looking pretty good right now for XL. They have a tower advantage, but the problem is Jokerism is sitting on the backline, not doing any damage to anyone, and they cannot focus Charlie T. So this means that Kino's constantly doing damage. And look how much damage right here that Arfan's ultimate actually does. Takes a huge chunk of damage. Oh, it was on top of Charlie T's QW combo as well. And this point here, the ball delivery system into the ultimate of Charlie T makes for a nice, easy triple kill. And with the items that he had available, the damage coming out from him was absolutely redonkulous. So that was a very a clean game, I would say, for Infused. Yeah. They did lose a lot of pressure in the bottom, but by Kino applying pressure to the mid, allowed pressure from the top to be completely alleviated for Alfari, and pretty much gave two dominant lanes for the side of Infused.
Yeah, I feel like that was kind of a decision as well. Like, we are just going to allow this bottom lane to happen. We have a Sivir, we have that Thresh. It's a pretty safe lane anyway. They shouldn't be able to snowball too hard or just destroy the rest of the map and just take control entirely. And that is what they did. But we are going to head into a short break before our second game of this last best of three of the night. Can XL do anything about this one, or is it going to be a 2-0 for Infused? Find out after this short break.